Hello, everyone. Did anybody have trouble logging in, or was it normal? Okay. Anna Monica's having problems from California. Maybe it's on her end. Hopefully she'll get on. Trying. Meanwhile, I thought I would show you what it looks like if I turn the lights off. Kind of cool. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about emptiness. We're going to talk about not self, right? There's a fabricated self, no self, anatta. Don't even have to meditate. You don't even have to go to a retreat. You just have to turn the lights off on Zoom. Well, hopefully she'll get on.
How is Saladana coming?
Well, actually this week I took off and went to Altea. And but I don't think anything happened. In fact, I know nothing happened while I was gone. This week coming is the week allegedly where the new cierres, the persianas, are supposed to come, and hopefully the glass for the doors are still not in, but it's the same vendor, same seller. So hopefully, and then yeah, very little to go. And then the very last thing I need to do is contract an electrician to put the exit lights according to the plan. And then I think it'll be time to call for an inspection and hopefully get approval. Yeah. Lara helped, we did some cleaning, and then I think having a senior moment with her name. Well, one of the Thich Nhat Hanh, Clara. Yeah, I think she also was there, but I haven't been there since last week. With with increased cases of COVID in Madrid, I feel a little nervous about opening it up to anything more than like how many people might be here, or even less. But we'll see. It looks great though. It looks fabulous.
Excellent. Good news.
Fabulous. What was that movie, Anna Monica? Do you remember? You Look Fabulous, with the two great actors, funny actors. It'll come to me in a minute what their names are. They're both dressed in white. Absolutely fabulous. My generation, not young like yours.
I don't know. I might look it up.
Mm-hmm. Simply fabulous. What I thought we would do today for the meditation is in the last maybe 10 minutes or so, do what is commonly known as awareness of awareness. And I thought I would explain a little bit up front. We've done it before, but we don't do it regularly, or maybe some of you do, which would be great if you did. But it's a practice in not putting the attention on the objects, such as the breath or the body or the sounds or the thoughts, but instead putting the attention on the attention, putting our attention on the awareness of the objects. And I have a couple questions that I'll offer during that period where you can ask yourself, how is my awareness? What is the relationship that my awareness has with the object, for instance, right now? And if there's aversion, pushing away or clinging, wanting more, something like that, then there's probably still a bit of self in there, that craving. But if we can get back a little bit and just see awareness, being aware, that's really what this is all about in a grand part. It's finding that stability that comes from awareness, which is just pure and infinite. And we'll talk about that afterwards. But that'll be the second or the third, the last third of the meditation. And I'm just going to say this. So usually what we do a samatha, or in more Sanskrit, shamatha, concentration, calming practice at the beginning. And if you're familiar with awareness of awareness, absolutely do it, because it can be very calming. Where the object of your awareness is awareness, or the object of your awareness is your experience. It's not what you're experiencing, it's the process of experiencing. We'll see if we'll talk about it afterwards. Anyways, do we have any questions, or anybody want to say anything before we start? Good to see you all. I think we've got Caitlin's back for the first time in many months. Where are you? Are you in US of A or?
No, I'm here in Madrid. It's just sometimes with my practice, I go and I'm a la vuelta. So it's good to be back.
You're on a welcome from practice. All right. Well, hopefully, yeah, we'll get you to concede on that one. Good. Okay. So we'll meditate for 30 minutes. So let's find a comfortable posture, one where your back is straight and your head maybe tilted ever so slightly forward to open up the vertebrae in the back. Allow the body's energy to flow more freely. And we want to be relaxed. We want to be comfortable. And yet at the same time, we want what I like to call a noble posture. Almost like there's some pride, but again, pride can really be associated with the self. So I like noble better, like the statues of the Buddha. And you could start wherever feels most comfortable for you. Maybe it's in the belly, feeling the breath of the belly. Maybe you like to do a quick body scan, noticing any sensations in the body. Nature, it's like nature gave us this body to be able to experience life. And a lot of times we get stuck up in our head and we don't even notice the experience that's passing us by. So a lot of times we need to re-embody ourselves. We need to get back down into the yoga, the unification of mind and body and heart. So whatever gets you there, maybe it's the points of contact you can feel. Maybe you do a full body posture awareness where you feel your sitting posture. I often do that. I often start nice and broad, nice and open. And if there are thoughts, no worries. Don't push them away. You can maybe let them run their course, finish their sentence, or if it's images, let them show themselves and then let them pass. Come back to the body, feeling the body. And now, if you haven't already, finding your breath, the movement of the breath. And choosing a spot, a place where the breath is easy to follow, comfortable to follow, maybe even pleasant. And if you don't find the breath easy to work with, you can always use the body, the posture as an anchor. And for me, it's like the body really feels like an anchor. It's almost shaped like the anchor of a ship. Grounded here, this moment. But the breath is a very common anchor as well. So we pick a spot, that's our home base. When we notice the mind has wandered off, we gently come back to the home base, to the anchor. And if right now there's just too much going on in the body, maybe there's a lot of emotion or something, it's too intense, you can always use sounds or the receptive process of hearing as an anchor. Just coming back to listening, waiting for sounds. Maybe after a couple moments of finding a good spot, we'll practice samatha or calming meditation, calming the mind, stabilizing the mind with a gentle returning to an anchor. If you have a practice of using labels, or would like to try it, you can label your experience to help track your experience. So for instance, if with the breath, inhaling, exhaling, Inhaling, exhaling. Maybe when the mind wanders, we notice thinking, returning, inhaling, exhaling. Or with the body, feeling or sensing, with sounds, hearing. Simple one word labels. If thoughts are randomly coming and then going, don't mind them. Just let them come and go. But if your mind is really locked in on an obsession, a worry, something, and can't seem to loosen it up, let it go, you might try feeling the body to see if you can find any bodily sensation that might be connected to that thinking. And if you find something, feeling that, experiencing that sensation, that might loosen up the grip of the thought. We don't want to fight with our thoughts. That would just create the tension that we'd rather avoid. Instead, we just let them play out, go on their way like clouds in the sky, and then come back to our chosen anchor, the breath, the body, or sounds. Now I invite you to ask yourself or ask your inner self, what is the quality of your awareness right now? You don't need to answer, just ask the question. Are you aware that you are aware of your body, for instance? Do you know that you are aware of my voice? Do you know that you are aware of your breath? And how do you know? What knows? when thoughts arise and you become aware that once again you are aware of that, who exactly is aware that you're thinking? If maybe an answer arises that, oh, I'm aware, where is this I? Can you find it? Where is it located? And are you able to experience the awareness of whatever object or objects arise in the field or the screen of your attention, of your awareness? Are you able to see how the awareness itself is unaffected by the object? It's just aware. Can you see how experience just arises, is known, and then passes? The sound of my voice, maybe a sensation in the body, thoughts, the breath, all just arising in the field, or as some would say, the open sky of awareness, the limitless, infinite field of awareness. Are you knowing your experience? Are you knowing what the mind is aware of, or what awareness is aware of? And how? How do you know? You may notice how thoughts will just arise in this big open space of the mind and then just pass. They don't even need to be pushed. They'll just go. And we're just aware. Naturally, we don't have to do anything. Good. So for these last couple minutes, let's re-ground ourselves back into our bodies, feeling the body, of course, maybe now with a little more awareness. Just feeling the weight, feeling the points of contact, feeling any new sensations that might have arisen. Maybe enveloping the whole posture in awareness, in your attention, giving yourself a warm, loving awareness hug, embrace. Maybe even going a little beyond the physical form into the energy field. See if you can feel any tingling or tickling at the level of the skin. Maybe not, it's okay. And maybe coming back to the heart center and reminding yourself, ourselves, that we do this practice not only for our own benefit, which it has many benefits, but for the benefit of all beings, that this is probably, in my opinion, the most useful thing we could do for the human race, the animal race, our earth, Mother Tierra, Mother Earth, is to connect with ourself in this way. And maybe reminding yourself that there are others on this call doing the same. Give them a virtual hug. And then radiating out this goodwill in all directions. And when you hear the sound of the bell, as always, just noticing what arises. Thank you very much. Feel free to stretch or move if you need to. So I'm curious how the instructions for the awareness of awareness practice landed, whether people kind of got a handle on what I was inviting, or whether there's any questions or comments. Definitely would be open to any form of feedback.
Hey, Jim. I really
Okay.
loved how you, because I was really much in my head a lot, like bouncing with the thoughts. But then when you said something about, if you feel you're too much in your head, then come to the body and what does it feel like? And I was actually feeling a lot of tension in my chest and like gut wrenching in my stomach. And that was really scary at first. But then when you're like, just focus on that, don't label how it feels. Oh, this hurts. Oh, this is bad. This is good. Like, just feel it. I could get less out of my head and feel more here. And then when you said, where is that eye? Like, where's it located? I was thinking, it's in my stomach. Like, so I try to follow that with the breath and work with that. And it was very interesting because it almost felt like hot lava going in it, if that makes any sense. Like, and it was kind of soothing. Like the pain would sometimes come back and sometimes not, but when I just focused on that being, like there's no thought to it. When I could focus on that, it was nice because the thoughts were a little more distant.
Mm-hmm.
And that just really moved me. So thank you for that tip. That was really nice.
You're welcome. And that's good feedback for me also to hear. Yeah, sometimes, I mean, lava, that's pretty intense. Sometimes it might be too much, right? Where, we don't want to dive right into the middle of hot lava. That would be a bad idea, right? I'm not even sure we want to put our toe in it. But maybe we're just around the edges a little bit, just kind of feeling it until it's safe to dive right in. But that sounds great. Good job. Despite your Wolga, your practice sounds like it's still coming along very well, Caitlin. Anyone else like to say anything or have a question? Or?
Yeah, I do. I don't have a question, but I was just share. I was able to do awareness of the senses, the hearing and taste, sensation, but I was not able to do awareness of awareness. I made the effort, but there didn't come a point where it seemed like that was what was happening. So today, no awareness of awareness.
Yeah, and it's not a practice that when you're doing it, there'll be like signs and stuff. Oh, you're doing awareness of awareness. You've got it. It's not like that. It's, where'd you go? Oh, now you're over here. You moved in the screen. It can be very, very subtle. And maybe I should have mentioned just how subtle it can really be. But one little trick that I like to use is to just ask myself, using a little bit of words, what is awareness aware of right now? And maybe it'll be a few objects, right? The breath, the body, sounds. But just kind of that question is one step back from being right on top of the object, right? So it's a good tool to kind of get us a little bit removed from the object, because we tend to focus on the object, right? And we'll even concentrate on that object, almost like grasping it. And we really want to be able to take a step back, which I'll explain some of the reasons why this is really where we want to be. And we can use different tools, just whatever kind of, even imagining that you're just watching it. Just kind of put yourself in a place of pretending, right? I know in Spanish, I think pretender has another meaning, but in English, it's like faking it, right? Just kind of faking it, just kind of pretending that you're watching awareness. And even that can get you to that place where you're a little bit farther away. Luis, did you want to say something?
Yes, a couple of things. One is, it seems similar to this awareness of awareness. Isn't it similar to Vipassana? And another one is, if you are labeling, for example, thinking, you are aware that you are thinking. You are aware that you are thinking. Isn't that similar to what you are proposing? And at the beginning, I thought that you have to abandon any object, and the only thing that you have in your mind is awareness, and you are aware of that. Isn't that jhana status?
No. Just the last question, I think I can answer quickly. The jhana states are states of absorption, which again, I haven't gone through the 8 different levels of jhana, so I can't say from experience, but from talking to people who have and reading about it and getting, very close. What happens in the jhanas is that the self, the observer, and maybe those words would have been helpful too, the looker or the observer or the noticer disappears. And then what is remaining is just pure awareness. And because what happens in jhanas, which are just a conditioned state, okay, they're just a conditioned state of the mind. They're not full enlightenment. Some people think, oh, that's full enlightenment, but it's not. It's just a conditioned state that comes and goes like everything else. But the senses shut down, basically. The parts of the mind that are connected to our senses closes down, so we don't feel any experience. And once
other than awareness.
That's all that's there. Yeah, it's just the experience of awareness. But there's no sounds, there's none of these other sensations that come through. And so that sense of self, they say, and again, I haven't been there, would love to go there, but basically disappears. But jhana, it's very difficult to experience jhana in a Sunday 30-minute class. It's very difficult outside of a long retreat. Usually teachers will start talking about jhana once you get to maybe a 10-day retreat, preferably a month long or longer. It really takes kind of that long, especially with our busy lives, to get the mind that quiet. But going back to your first question about vipassana, I would say that awareness of awareness, it can be or is a type of vipassana practice, or that we use our vipassana practice in awareness of awareness. But having said that, they are a little bit distinct, because in vipassana, we are being with whatever arises in a non-reactive way, and we're noticing its impermanence, we're noticing its unsatisfactoriness, we're noticing its impersonal nature. This is vipassana, to have those 3 insights. And we do that by just watching things come and go, and watching how the mind reacts. With awareness of awareness, this is actually a samatha practice, where the object is awareness, where the object is the experiencing mind, but not the object. It's like in Vipassana, objects arise, we notice them, we see them leave, we notice the reaction in the mind. It's going like that, right? While awareness of awareness, we're just paying attention to the awareness itself, the knowing of the object, and we're not fixated on the object.
It's something like labeling then.
Like what?
Like labeling.
Labeling.
Yes.
Well, labeling can serve many positive functions, and it's often used in initial practice. It's often used in vipassana, and it can be used in this awareness of awareness as well. But you kind of want to let them go so you can just focus on the awareness, and you're not really paying attention to the objects. But you could, I suppose you could just say, okay, awareness. You could just say that one simple label, awareness. It's and I'm going to read from a couple of experts, right? So we can maybe get a better idea too from other teachers as to what this awareness of awareness is. But I would like, I've been waiting quite a long time actually to really introduce it. And during the summer, you guys were more or less the same group. So I knew you guys were practicing, and I thought, okay, I think I can go to this. They often won't even introduce this in a month-long retreat until you're there a couple weeks. So it is somewhat of an advanced practice. It's not that easy to distinguish, but you can do it in a 30-minute sit. You can. And once you've experienced it, and it might be just brief, just like that. It might be just 10 seconds, but you get it. You're kind of like, wow. There's the non-judgmental, unconditioned, not self thing that we talk about, that so many teachers talk about.
And after that, and after that, I don't know, second of awareness, where do you go?
Well, if you're in long retreat, you don't need to go anywhere. The Tibetans believe that it is sufficient to reach Nibbana. You don't need to go to the jhanas. The jhanas are, in my opinion, referred to.
Where should the mind go? This is awareness, and then suddenly, you remember that you have to pay an invoice.
Right, and so your mind might drift off, or you'll notice that paying an invoice arises in the field of awareness. There it is, and like your Vipassana practice you were talking about, you just notice it. You don't cling to it. You don't push it away. You just watch it arise and pass away. But you're more focused on your relationship or your reaction to that invoice, the awareness itself. That's it's like, here's the invoice, here's awareness, which is natural. We're aware all the time. We're just naturally aware. And then there's the knowing of the awareness, right? There's this next level, and just being aware of awareness, in my opinion, is enough.
Well, it's more than enough. It's great because you don't suffer because you have to pay an invoice.
Right. And you still will. When you're done practicing, you'll probably have to pay the invoice, but you'll do it with a lot less reactivity and greed. You won't be clinging to that money or whatever. Yeah. It's a really okay. I think there was maybe another person who had.
Yeah. I just had a quick comment, very similar to Luis, because I get this, very momentary flashes of it, and I think, and as soon as you become aware of awareness, and you become aware of yourself being aware, and you lose it. And it's that trying to find, you're asking the question, who, can you find who it is who is aware, and is it kind of pure awareness? And that's where I kind of struggle, and then maybe that's when I kind of lose it, and kind of
Okay, now that one,
to the self. But it reminded me, and what Luis was saying reminded me of a book by Mark Epstein
okay, yeah.
called Thoughts Without a Thinker,
Yes, yes.
which goes into the same concept and delves into it quite a bit. But I still can't quite get my head around it enough, I think.
Yeah. I will admit, when I somewhat sort of regret it. Here, I'm going to put you guys on mute. Just yeah, there we go. Because those questions really are what is often called deconstructing the self. They're not exactly awareness of awareness tools. I thought maybe they might be helpful for some people to kind of get into that observer place. But I thought maybe there would be some risk that people could get a little tied up in knots around that. Those questions are often used to deconstruct the self, to realize that we really can't find the self. In fact, there really isn't a self. It's a fabrication, right? That it gets fabricated, it gets manifested during this time that we're in these physical bodies, but then it's gone. There's nothing continuous about it. And those are some of the questions that are often used to try to realize that, to have that insight, because that's one of the three insights, that there is no self, really. In fact, I'll start with just a quote. So I don't know if you guys can. Oh, that didn't work. That was weird. Well, anyways, the name of this chapter is called Beyond Self, and this is a book by Guy Armstrong called Emptiness, a Practical Guide for Meditation. And his very first quote is from Nagahuna, who was a 2nd century, I believe, meditation master, and probably did almost as much for Buddhism as the Buddha himself. And he's the one that really, Luis, you'd be interested, he really tightened up the jhana rules, so to speak, to make them even more inaccessible, harder to get to. But he's considered probably the main master in the Theravada tradition. But here's a quote from him. It says, "What is inside is me. What is outside is mine. When these thoughts end, freedom dawns." What is inside is me. What is outside is mine. When these thoughts end, freedom dawns. So keeping that in mind, right? There is no me really inside. It's just this fabrication, this compilation of causes and conditions that have come together and, act in this way. But really, there's nothing long lasting there. And then what outside is mine? Things are mine. This is my computer. This is my apartment, and all this kind of stuff. When we can let go of those things, that is when we realize the freedom that Buddhism offers us. It's when we stop clinging. This is from a little bit more into the book from Guy Armstrong. He writes, "For most practitioners, understanding the truth of not self is not an instantaneous one-time occurrence. When we start to meditate, we might think that a big explosion should happen when we sit. When it doesn't, we think we must be doing something wrong. It's true that big insights do occasionally come along that affect us deeply, but the understanding of not self most often matures through small insights over years of study, reflection, and meditation." So this is not something that we get right away. I mean, a few lucky people do, and one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it is because one of the persons I think did have this luck is this spiritual teacher by the name of Muji. And Anna Monica had referred a few YouTube videos, which I highly recommend if you like to watch those kind of things. It's an interview between an English guy named Russell Brand, who is a former, I think he was an actor, but he's also like a drug addict and an alcoholic, kind of controversial guy. But he gets these great, guests on his show. So he interviews Muji. And Muji, by the way, lives in Portugal and does occasionally come to, well, he used to come to Madrid, and he would do like a day long or a 2 day long or whatever. But his center is in Portugal, and hopefully someday again we'll be able to go there and participate in his retreats. Anna Monica and I have been to several in India. He goes to Rishikesh every year and does a month of retreats there. Satsang, which means Sangha, right, in Sanskrit. Anyways, so I was watching this video, and he is famous for a kind of identifying this observer as our true nature, as our true self. And this is a very kind of Hindu, non-dualist perspective that he has, that we all have this. Possibly every being, but definitely every human being has this knower, this seer, this observer that can be aware of awareness. I mean, did you guys get that though? Like, you knew you were aware of objects, right? During that, there were objects and you knew that you were aware of them. Just that knowing is another level, right? So there's the awareness, which is neutral. It's just the mind knows, consciousness knows that there's an object. And then there's this part of us that knows that awareness knows the object. It's another level, like deeper. And so in the Advaita traditions, the non-dualist traditions, this is who we really are. This is our true nature, is this observing self that can be aware of awareness, of consciousness. And so the practice, and it's very much taught in the Tibetan traditions, in the Theravadan traditions, the Mahayana traditions, the Tantric traditions, to cultivate, like Guy Armstrong said there about emptiness, to cultivate being in that place. Because when we're in that place, it's like, I have a little quote, I want to make sure I said it right. This is from Thich Nhat Hanh, okay? We are here to awaken from our illusion of separateness. We are here to awaken from our illusion of separateness. And when we're in that observing, knowing place, the illusion snaps, because now we are connected to all things, because we all have this knower, this observer, this part. Let's see, I'll make sure. Oof, God, time goes, when I get into these things that I really like, it seems like the time just goes by quick. I'm going to read just a brief thing here. See if I can find it. Hello, where are you? Okay, bear with me 1 second. I might have to find out what the heck I did with it. It's third one over. So let's see. Rats. If I just hit share screen, why doesn't it? Oh, there it is. Found it. Yay. Had to be clicked on. That's an interesting thing. I didn't know that. It has to be the one that is showing on my screen. All right. Let's see. First, I want you to know who wrote this. So this guy, you guys can see Tricycle, right? You can see the magazine cover. Yeah. So this Younger Mingyur Rinpoche, he's this amazing Tibetan master, pretty young fella, who has written just some phenomenal books. And he was the one who I read that he thinks it's better if we meditate, for instance, several times a day for 3 to 5 minutes than to try to get through 1 hour of, like that. He's like, no. One of his teachings is stop. one of his tools is stop meditating. Just, go about your day and then come back and stuff. So really like this guy, loving guy. The book I read had a title something like Being Happy. But so here he writes. Oh, here, I'm going to read this quote by Daniel Goleman. I hadn't saw that, but he's the author of Emotional Intelligence. Self-awareness is a neutral mode that maintains self-reflectiveness even in the midst of turbulent emotions. So this part of our mind, I guess, I'm not sure where it comes from, but this ability that we have to be aware of awareness is this self-reflectiveness, this self-awareness that he's talking about. When we're in that place, we are safe. We are protected, right? We are, even in the midst of turbulent times like we're experiencing right now, it's like nothing bothers us. So because of the lack of time, I'm going to do it real quick here. But so he talks about the goal of attention, or shamatha is the Sanskrit word. Samatha is what we say in Pali. Practice is to become aware of awareness. Just says it straight out. Awareness is the basis, or what you might call the support of the mind. This is what we want to cultivate. This is why we're going to the gym. It is steady and unchanging, like the pole to which the flag of ordinary consciousness is attached. When we recognize and become grounded in awareness of awareness, the wind of emotion may still blow, but instead of being carried away by the wind, we turn our attention inward, watching the shifts and changes with the intention of becoming familiar with the aspect of consciousness that recognizes, oh, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking, but nothing more. There's so much more there, but in the interest of time, I'll stop there. And I'm just going to add one other quick thing. The practice of Buddhism, the practice of meditation, and so forth is a practice of non-suffering. This is the intention, right? So that we won't suffer. And when we're in that place of awareness, like what they were talking about there, it's a place where we don't suffer. There could still be pain. There could still be emotional turbulence. There could still be all sorts of negative things. But when we're there, we just observe it. We don't attach to it. And when, it takes years of practice, according to Guy Armstrong, but over time, we become more and more understanding that it is not personal, that what happens to our body, the stuff that comes up in our mind, it's not who we are. They're just stuff. It's just stuff that arises, right? They're just feelings that arise. And it's because that's really what causes us the suffering, is we want it to be different than it is. We don't want to have those thoughts. We don't want to have that pain. We want to be different in whatever way. That's where we suffer. Life includes pain. It's just part of life, but suffering is optional. And so the realization, the insight, especially when it starts to really take a grip, that this stuff is not personal, brings about that freedom that we're here for, right? Okay, I'm going to stop there. We have 5 minutes before we normally end, but if anybody wants to say anything, and then we'll do a little metta practice, but glad to. I know that was a lot. I mean, it's like, no? Maybe show me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Maybe we'll continue on this topic next week. What do people think? Ooh, I got a couple doubles, and Juliet's is yellow. All right. I love it. That's very good news. I like that. Okay, so we'll do a little metta, and then afterwards, whoever wants to stay on, I'll do some small groups. Glad to do that. Okay, so find a comfortable posture if you're not in one. And yeah, let's bring the awareness into the heart center. Maybe I like to put my hands here, and then, I'm aware that there's sensation at the level of my skin at the heart center. Just feels kind of good, kind of warm. So we'll start off with I, even though, there's no self, but we practice as if. That's the Mahayana tradition, is everything is just a dream and an illusion, but we practice as if it's real. So we do the same with the I. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I live with ease. And so now let's offer metta or goodwill to a person or persons who have been on the front lines of this pandemic. Maybe they're working in a hospital or other jobs that bring them in contact with people who might be sick, and then those who are sick and their loved ones, people who have lost their loved ones. Try to bring them to mind. May they be happy. May they be well. May they be safe. And may they live with ease. And hopefully that one was relatively easy. So let's try a difficult person. Bring to mind somebody who maybe is struggling, or maybe did something that hurt your feelings, or made a promise they didn't keep, and there's a little resentment towards them. Just to see if we can purify that with a little metta in their direction. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And finally, all beings in all directions, without exception. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings live with ease. And now I believe Anna Monica has some words to take us out. Dedication of the merit, Anna Monica, even though your internet is not so great, but uh-oh.
Oh,
There you go.
not me. It's
Ooh.
this is a no. Okay,
Can people
another
hear Anna
time.
Monica? I
Sure.
can't really hear. No, you're.
No. Okay, no problem.
It's okay.
No
Sorry.
worries. Another time.
But now you sound better, but okay. All right. So we'll dedicate the merit real quickly in an act of renunciation, an act of generosity, offering up the fruits of our practice, the merits of our practice today, the teachings, our Buddha nature, and our Sangha, offering it all to all beings. May all beings be happy and peaceful, healthy and strong, safe and protected. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, free from war and violence and racism and discrimination, and free from coronavirus. And may all beings find their safe place, find their kind, loving awareness, find their observer. And may all beings be free. May all beings be happy. Okay, well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I'm very happy that you guys liked the topic of awareness of awareness. That was exciting. Yeah, so I can make some groups and you guys can share. We'll do roughly about 7 minutes or so. Yeah, whoever's there can join. I think Damien is leaving, but we shall see. Okay. Or maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll give it a minute. First, I'm interested, Nacho, how did the retreat go? Where'd it go?
It was amazing. I mean, amazing. So good, and such a good mixture to put MBC with yoga. I'm at this moment, I don't know if you can tell, I'm exhausted after giving everything during the whole weekend, but I'm really, really happy because I think that there will be many more MBC and yoga retreats to come. Thanks for asking.
Me alegro de oír esto. Perfecto. Yeah, it's sounds like a great combination. Okay, here we go with the small groups. We'll do 3, create. Boring. Oh. I'm going to move you, Julieta, to breakout room 3. Monica, you're stuck. Do-do-do.